everybody? It's your good buddy Spider back again, and this is gonna be a tricky episode, not because of the subject matter, but because I've got some tooth issues, and you might be able to tell that I'm talking a little. My voice sounds a little strange because I'm talking through my teeth. Because the more I open my jaw, generally, it's the best. I've felt better now than I have the past couple weeks. But the more I open my jaw, the more it cuts up against a busted tooth and causes me a lot of anguish. So, and if you're wondering, yes, that is why there was no new episode last week. Unlike the previous time where there was a missing episode and I just forgot about it, this time I made a conscious choice. It's difficult to say conscious with the way that my mouth is, but a choice to not do the episode because I just didn't think I could get through it, and I'm going to try to get through tonight's. It might end up being a short one. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But we're here, and we're going to talk about some stuff. What do you think about that? Tonight's episode is about things I find on the ground and other things. It's called Sticks and Stones. So let's talk about this. Okay, now what do I mean by that? Mostly, when I was a kid, and I know a lot of people can probably relate, when you're kids and you're outside and you're playing in the yard or playing at the park or whatever, and you see a stick, like a stick on the ground, you're like, that's not a stick, that's a sword, that's a wizard's staff, that's a blaster rifle, that's all these different things, and you do all these things with stuff that you find outside. Like my daughter does the same thing. She finds sticks outside that she uses for different things, and we once used one in a school lesson with paint to do like cave paintings on cardboard, because that was the closest thing we had. We didn't have like an actual cave to go to do cave painting, but so we use the various things. And I was always pretty inventive as a kid. I would always find different things, and I would go through junk drawers and all kinds of places and find just the most random things. Not just necessarily just natural stuff outside, like sticks and rocks and whatnot, but also like pieces of metal piping or big bolts and screws or different things like that. Got a sneezing coming. Hold on. I'm gonna have a drink after that. But I would find things, and I would make things out of them. At first I would just try to stick them together in some way, and they'd all fall apart because you can't just like mash stuff together made out of metal and stuff. I'd make lightsabers and whatnot, all kinds of things, little spaceships. I was into all kinds of stuff like that when I was a kid. So eventually I moved on to using like glue or using like lengths of twine and rope and things like that to tie this stuff together and to make it fit. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't. But it was the imagination that was important. It was just imagining all these things that I could do, that I could make with everything. Did anybody else do that when you were kids? You ever find stuff and just see what you can make out of it? This episode was almost going to be called Arts and Crafts, because it was basically that was the concept, but I thought Sticks and Stones was a slightly more interesting title. And as I grew up into a young adult, I still kind of did some of the same thing. Because when you're a young adult, you get into like going into costume parties and things like that. Because even though you might not do trick or treating as a kid around Halloween, you might still go to costume places, or you'd go to conventions, like comic book conventions, and you want to dress up like a superhero or something. And so I would still collect some things to try to put together into a blaster or into a scanning device or something. And yeah, I always liked to do that as a kid. I don't know if kids still do that so much anymore. A lot of everything nowadays is digital and game consoles and whatnot and that kind of thing, which I did have as a kid as well. I had game consoles and things like that, but I was still into putting things together and taking things apart. And I think that helped now that I'm the venerable age that I am, because now I have kind of I'm not an engineer, but I think I could have become an engineer if I'd have put in the effort, and if I'd gone to more advanced schooling, because I'm good at figuring things out. Like my furnace, which is broken again for the third time. For the third time since before Christmas. And it's only February as of this broadcast. But every time I replace a part, another part says, "Oh, well, that's new. I guess it's my turn. Bye." And it blows up or falls apart or something. But I'm getting good at stuff like that. I'm getting good at repairing and finding out the issues with things in the house, appliances and whatnot, that I might not have been good at before. Like the furnace, I've replaced the power transformer twice. I've replaced now some kind of control board of some kind. I don't remember what it was called. It was pretty important. It sent signals all over the place. And now the igniter went bad. So I have that part on the way, and I'm going to replace the igniter probably this week. And then we'll see. Maybe something else is going to go bad. I don't know. I have a suspicion that the pressure switch is going to go bad, and that perhaps the blower motor capacitor has an issue as well. And I know where both of those are in the machine as well. I know where those are in the furnace, and I can replace those if I need to. And I think playing around with things, like just random things as a kid, along with like the more engineering conscious stuff like Legos and whatnot, I think playing around with all that stuff kind of helped prepare me for this line of thought. I think it's good for kids to be able to figure stuff like that, because your imagination can lead to real world helpful things, like fixing your furnace in the middle of the coldest winter in a decade. And I did, I would do that for other things too. Like, I'd have action figures, and I'd be like, "Oh, this stick would be a good weapon for them," or "This metal wing nut would be a good boomerang for this soldier," or something. And I do that a little bit now, but now we have 3D printers, which I have one. I haven't been able to use it for a while because I just haven't had the opportunity. But we've got 3D printers, and we can make all these things. So now you can actually make devices and mechanical everything and build them so that they work. You can build your own transforming robot toys. You can do all these different things. And so yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat, all the things you can do now that you couldn't really do when I was a kid. But I still think I still think was helpful. Starting out with just sticks and rocks and piles of dirt and bits of metal that you might have dug up, like a marble in the backyard or something like that. I think that's important. Like, my daughter collects all kinds of stuff. She collects shells and rocks and sticks and feathers and all kinds of things. So she's getting into the Legos. And she's figuring out how to build things and construct things and whatnot. And she gets these magazines every month that have crafts in them. You can make out of milk cartons, and you can get like toilet paper tubes and stuff like that. All that kind of thing. So she's getting into that. She's getting to get a good mind for figuring things out. She started to sew recently, as far as like arts and crafts are concerned. She's better at sewing than I am already. I was never very good at sewing. I made some pretty atrocious attempts back when I was in school. Like, I was in a home economics class, home ec, in my middle school, junior high years. And I made an apron that was terrible. I made a spice trivet that was passable, barely. But I wasn't good at it. I'm still not good at it. Of the many things that I am not good at, sewing is one of the big ones. I'm not good at sewing. I can do a passable job to get through, but as far as like a permanent repair, I don't know. I've never been able to really master the skill with a machine or without. I always tend to jam up the machines. Like, I always tend to not put it through fast enough, or put it through too fast, or just whatever, and too much tension, too much of this, too much whatever. I can't set the machine right, and so I've never been able to really get them to work out in my favor. But sticks and stones. I wonder, how many people thought, when you saw that, you thought I was going to be talking about, like, insults and mean things. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Nah. And I wondered if I should rename it based on that, but I'm not. I was like, nah. It's a fun title. It's a fun title, and I like it. But yeah, there's like, you can do so much DIY stuff. Like a good length of pipe can help give you leverage on a tire iron. If you're trying to change a tire and you have a stuck bolt, you get a length of pipe, put it on the outside to give you a little bit more leverage, right? Because leverage that's science right there. So it helps sometimes to have these little bits of junk. There was something else recently that I tried to use. I don't remember what it was. I was trying to do something, and I used some random off the wall whatever to fix something, or I don't know what it was. But again, it's that mindset of, if I just have the right bits and pieces and tools and whatnot, I think I can figure this out. I think I can do it. And so I like doing stuff like that. I always did like doing stuff like that as a kid. And I still kind of like doing it as an adult, although most of the time you have to as an adult. Because if you're not going to fix something yourself, you have to hire somebody to fix it, and then you're looking at a huge array of costs involved. And I'm not made of dollar signs. I'm not made of dollar signs. So, yeah, I think that's important. And this is only going to be a half show because my face is really bothering me. It's difficult to talk like this. And it might sound like I'm doing okay, but it's having to hold my jaw this way while I talk is pretty difficult. Don't feel bad about me though. It's temporary. It's all right. It's getting better. This is the best I've felt in like a week and a half, 2 weeks at least, since the tooth started giving me the problems. So it's on the mend. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? What I mean it? So I'm going to leave you with that. If you have any interesting projects that you have done, either on your own or with your family or whatever, and you want to show them off, send me a photo at uncannyspiritsclub@gmail.com. I would love to see what you have created out of whatever weird stuff you got lying around. I think it'd be great. Like, not to get too far forward since I'm trying to close up here. I've seen all kinds of things online that I don't know if they even work, but I've seen people make coolers out of toilets, old toilets, or even like grills and beer coolers out of toilets. Come on now, that's a bit much. But I've seen people make all kinds of interesting things. So if you've got some interesting contraption, device, or just maybe just a piece of art or whatever that you made out of just random stuff that you had around, I want to see it. Send me the pictures. Send me the pictures, and I will post them if you don't mind. If you do mind, I won't post them. But if you don't mind, I will post them to the Spider Does Things Facebook page. And maybe I'll make like a video collage for YouTube or something like that. A video montage. That's what it is. It's not a collage, it's a montage. Right? Is that right? I don't know what's right. I have no idea. But that's all I got for you tonight. It's a short topic. It can go a lot of ways. And I got more memories about it, but like I said, my face is giving me trouble. So, I'll see you folks next time.